Marriage, like any other thing, can be hard. It can be hard, particularly when you don't know what you need to do to get the result you want. I mean, there are many things we've done in our lives. Parenting, we see doing it, we see learning every phase. When you think you're mastering a phase, they evolve into a different set of individual. You have to master that phase as well. So anything that is worth doing can be hard at the beginning. And somebody will say, a motivational speaker will say, anything that is worth doing hard at first. You have to keep learning, and then you kind of improve in the process. So that brings us to what we want to talk about today, is how do you improve your marriage? Because if you don't know how, you might be doing your very best. Sometimes we hear people say to us, I've done all that I know to do. And they are actually telling the truth. They're actually genuine. They've done all that they know to do. It's just that what they are doing is not producing the outcome they want. So the fact that you are working hard does not guarantee results. You must be doing the right thing to guarantee results. If I want to gain access into a door and I'm banging my head and using the wrong key, even though I'm working hard and spending 3 hours there, it's not going to produce a result until I use the right key. That's why we want to look at today. How do you improve your marriage? How? So first thing we think that we've seen that really works is the individuals who need to want to improve their marriage. No matter the level of intelligence, because usually the married people we work with are, high-flying people. No matter the level of intelligence in the room, professionals, doctors, different qualifications. If they don't want to make it work, there is nothing any coach, any counselor, any pastor, anyone that is helping to facilitate interventions will make it work, because the individuals need to really want it to work. What do you think?
No, I 100% agree with you, and I think we'll be sharing the points. And I think I mentioned to you when we were preparing for this that these points are simple, but the question is, why are we not doing these things?
Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes it's like we have the best of intentions. I want to improve my marriage, but then in the heat of the moment, everything is lost. So it's in the doing. It's in us having these things entrenched in our marriages, devising means of working this out in our marriage.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we'll be wasting our time.
Absolutely. So the intentions, the desire needs to be there. If you don't have the desire, you can take a horse to the river, like they say, you can force it to drink. The horse needs to be thirsty. Okay, so that's the first thing. So you go on.
Okay. One point that came at me as I thought about this is the spouses in the relationship must be willing to have tough conversations. Yes. And as I think about it, it's down to our personalities. There are some of us who are disposed to, who want to talk. We are very upfront. But then the question is, how do we present these tough conversations? How do we introduce these tough conversations? That's what decides the tempo in the marriage. Some of us would need to learn to process before we introduce, because that way we would be able to use the right words, understand the emotion, be able to read the emotions in the room to know when to introduce it. And then, there are some of us who need to get used to having these tough conversations.
Absolutely.
We don't need to run away from them, even if you're not disposed at the time to have to just sit down and talk. You need to make that time. You need to learn to want to have it.
I'd like to add something to that. Both of you need to create an atmosphere where people can come forward to talk. Because sometimes when someone wants to talk, sometimes you may have a partner that has a disposition that doesn't want to hear, because they don't want to hear any negative comments. They don't want to hear any complaints. All right, so and that can shut people down, particularly if they are the introverted types. That's what you're saying, that people need to get used to those kind of tough conversations. So you have to create the atmosphere, emotional safe environment for such conversations to happen. You can also you may want to schedule it to say, we have this kind of conversation every month, last Saturday of every month. When you schedule it, you can have time to plan, have time to work on your emotion, work on your tempo, on your tone, write down what you need to write down, because sometimes documenting clears your thoughts. So something may look so big, but when you actually write it down, it's not that bad. But writing down gives you clarity.
So I read something in an article recently, and the author was trying to say it's not right to talk. It's not right to say, okay, couples need to talk, right? But I kind of understand where she was going to with that. I think the bulk of it is when you have to introduce something to your spouse, especially for the men, and you say, oh, we need to talk, right? It feels uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
But then one thing she was pushing for was you need to still communicate anyway, because without communication in that marriage, the relationship, the marriage will be as good as dead.
Yes.
Now, in having these tough conversations, where I'm going to with this is we also would need to take into consideration non-verbal cues.
So for me, sorry for cutting it. Well, for non-verbal cues, it's very important for you to be able to notice that, okay, this person is showing some form of remorse. This person is open to conversations. This person is, because you may have partners who don't like to interrupt you. So, but for example, let me just use our own lives. When my wife is not happy, even if she doesn't say anything, I know just the way she walks around, the way she moves, the way she, just an energy you just sense. Yeah, baby, what's the problem? Nothing. It can never be nothing. Right. And some of us have this experience, maybe growing up with those of us that have African moms. Your mom wants you to do something on a Saturday, and you're just chilling, just maybe playing video game, and she passes the first time, she looks at everyone, passes the second time, you get the message that you better get up from that seat now and do some work. So what I'm trying to say is that when you live with someone long enough, you get to know their normal way of moving, and when that pattern changes, you know that something is up. Yeah, you need to pull their attention. They're trying to call your attention to something. All right. So, and now just like to say this to the women: men don't read minds. Sometimes you have to help us. You have to nudge us. All right. So sometimes men, we need a shopping list. Don't tell us, figure it out. Some men need to write a shopping list. I saw a video one time. This is just hilarious. And the woman, obviously his partner, his wife, sent him to the grocery shop, and gave him almost like a vision board of what to buy, the list and the pictures of the thing, so you can. So he was opening it, he mustn't miss it. I was like, oh my goodness, that's an extreme version of that, but. Sometimes just
to share something I found really fascinating in the article I read. It's subject to context, but we'll find out. We'll dig into it, we'll research it. But the author wrote there and said, for men, when you tell them that, she said it's been scientifically proven, when you tell men we need to talk, that their blood flows even more. So I thought, okay, we need to speak to a doctor about that.
To be honest with you, the word you need to talk, for me and for most men I've spoken with, I've talked with, is kind of like, what's the problem now? What have I done now? What's the problem? That's what an average man thinks about. And you don't want to be, you don't want to start off like that. Sometimes it's better to just have a casual conversation, Another thing we think that can help to resolve the marriage is to proactively try to address issues. I think we've talked about this sometime, but it's good to emphasize this. And what do we mean by that? So I'll use our example. So for finances, for example, we have conversations on a regular basis. Okay, so if this happens, then what? If this happens, then what? So you kind of proactively look at future things that may go wrong. There's a law they call Murphy's Law. It means whatever will go wrong will go wrong. So you want to anticipate where are the possible areas of variance. You might disagree. What happens if I just send money to someone without consulting with you? How do we address such issues? What happens if I buy something of big ticket stuff without consulting with you? How do we navigate such things? So you have to proactively. What happens if I maybe snap at you in public? What? And also clarifying what are your
negotiables.
What are non-negotiables? That you find that in our book, relationship red flags. So what are the things that turn you on? Because why I'm asking this, some people say, but you ask that during courtship, but these things evolve. If you clock 10 years in marriage, you realize that you're married to a different person from the person you married that day you said I do. Why? Because the person has evolved. The man has evolved, the wife has evolved. The problem is when you are still having that old mindset about them, and you are still holding them down to those old mistakes, it doesn't really work well. So you have to identify the person in front of you and deal with them as they are. Yeah, very important. Yeah.
Okay, so another point I think we must take into consideration if we want to improve our marriage or see our marriages improve, would be to have ground rules and honor them. Yes, a lot of us have ground rules.
Yes.
We don't do
But
this. No name calling, no shouting, no banging of doors, no walking out on each other. We have all these beautiful
no cutting
rules.
of phones, because some people have this rule. Because you're angry now.
Yes. It's one thing to make these rules. It's another thing to honor them, especially in the heat of the moment. That time when you think you're so upset. That time where you think, I just don't like what he's done to me. I tried not to use the word hate. It's at that time it becomes even more pertinent that we must observe these rules. So it's in the practice of it. You see why I was saying that? Yes, these are simple things, but we must make a practice of them. We must be acting them out. Why do we have these rules if they're just made for us to stick them to our vision board and our children read them, and our children are looking at them and thinking, I don't think they actually do these things. So why do they have these rules?
Absolutely.
You see? So it's not about the theory of it. We need to be acting these things out. We need to really, really be working on ourselves to get to that point where we can proudly say we have honored these rules. Yes.
My last point will be keep loving each other, keep building our friendship, keep making each other laugh. I'm telling you, if you keep making each other laugh, keep looking for ways to serve each other, keep looking for ways to add to each other, you will have one or two disagreements here and there, but they will not be powerful enough to erode all the positive experiences, just like that. Because these things are, each conflict, they take away from your emotional deposit, positive emotional deposit. So keep adding more, spend time with each other to just laugh. We watch a lot of comedy, just laugh, in the evening.
You're already a comedian.
Yeah. No, I'm humorous, but I'm not a comedian. But I know what she's talking about. Just make each other really laugh, such that when how your children see you and they light up because they are happy to see you, be that kind of a person for your partner. Let them see you and they light up like, it's back. Oh, she's back. When my wife traveled and she came back, oh my goodness, yeah, she's back. Not, oh no. Don't be that person that when they see you, oh no. So you have to make positive deposit in the lives of people by doing what makes them happy, so that they will be happy to see you.
Yes.
Very important, because this will help to even out some of the bumps here and there. There will be bumps. Proximity, Pastor Sam Adeyemi says, is the key to impact. If you are proximate to somebody, you will impact that person positively or negatively. So it's inevitable for you to be close to someone and not to have any form of friction. So you just have to find a way to use that proximity as a way to make positive deposit. So when they see you, there's an excitement from their belly. They're not acting it.
That's right.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, my last word would be, let's deal with these issues early. Start early. Let's not leave them until they pile up, until we forget what the issue actually was. Let's deal with them early.
Very true.
I always would say, regarding, even in counseling, time is of the essence. When we bring these matters up, for conversations, when we introduce a third party, when we see the need, also matters. Because sometimes, even when third parties come in, it's like, beyond repair. But we know that there's no marriage beyond repair, as long as we're still willing to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
So that marriage that looks really bad can be improved. We know that for a fact. Yes.
We know that for a fact.
So I remain Chidi Akunna.
And I'm still Victor, right?
Always.
I'm still Victor.
I will come to you under the umbrella of Foundation for Family Affairs, and our mission at Foundation for Family Affairs is to connect hearts and raise healthy families.
Yes.
Hey, how healthy is your family? Let's do a temperature check today. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.